What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Ulnar New Year on Lock and Load. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Lock and Load is where we capture 5 spots on the map called locks. To capture, both allies must have a guy on it until it turns green. If the enemy gets a lock until it turns red, it starts a timer bar that ticks until we get it back, and fills faster the more locks he has. If the bar hits full, we lose. Enemy units upon death launch fireworks at your guys. Mineral and gas pickups spawn on the ground. You can pick them up for free.
So we have Zero and Eviling in the call with us today. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Doing good. I'm doing evil.
Not my morning coffee.
Anyway, Zero, how do we rank the commanders this week?
So the only real mutator we have here is fireworks. So it's
True.
just about how well you can clear the map without dying to fireworks, which
Seems
actually do
important.
quite a lot of damage. So ideally, you want to be either in long range or just have a lot of health.
Yes. Or find a way to not receive damage from fireworks or mitigate damage. How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, pretty much that. And also, if you have units or some way to attack while staying on move, that's also a really good thing that will make you have a better rank.
All right, that sounds about right. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him, Eviling?
Abathur I have from S to A. His ultimate evolutions, you get them out, they have symbiotes, which can attack while moving. So that is very significant. And all Abathur really needs to get this mutation done is to have his 6 ultimate evolutions. And that should be more than enough to get this done. Just as before, keep your Brutalist move, because once they stand still, those fireworks, like if you take on like a pack of Zerglings, they would produce fireworks to just pretty much one shot your Brutus. So as long as you're on that, you should be fine. I haven't tested any prestige should be fine, except for, I mean, you could potentially do P1 and still get through this okay, because your income for this mutation is going to be not a problem. So you can go for all the crazy build you want. It's just gonna have high action.
How about you, Zero?
Yeah, I think for somewhere around that S to A range. I personally wouldn't really advise ultimate evolutions. I think swarm hosts are just better, and even if the locusts get hit by fireworks, I think they survive like 1 or 2 of them and still fight behind it, and not like you care if the locusts die anyway, just because these on so many. The early game may be some of an issue, although on this map I doubt it, because this map has like 1 wave for the early game and then another only at the 7-minute mark. So the early game really isn't an issue here, which gives you plenty of time to get into your swarm hosts. Then you just a move through the mission. So yeah, I think either A or S.
Okay.
Probably leaning towards A, but not opposed to either.
All right, so both of you are okay with S, so let's put Abathur in S. I have a surprise for you guys. I have actually already recorded a video of the tier list for this mutation, featuring Tutu and Stickspender. This was 2 years ago, so both of them put Abathur in C tier. The reasoning is, yes, they put Abathur in C tier. The reasoning is, Abathur does not spawn locusts fast enough, and his army is very big, so it's actually pretty difficult to dodge fireworks for Abathur. And the early game is an issue for him, because there's no way to lure without all of the things that you lure with getting shot down, because the fireworks target your guys. But, hey, that's neither here nor there.
Don't fireworks just go towards the locusts? Like, I guess if you have
The
a
locusts
low amount of them, sure.
don't have
but
enough health to outlast. The fireworks are very, very high
yeah,
damage.
100 damage per firework. A locust has like 260 at max biomass. So tanks like 3 fireworks each.
Yeah, but
person in air.
It's a
still.
lot of fireworks. And the fireworks are
Yeah, yeah.
splash. You gotta remember that fireworks have splash. The fireworks
get what
don't
you're
just
saying.
destroy one locust. The 3 fireworks you speak of here destroy like 8 locusts or something. You can't split your locust. It's quite... Well, you can, but like, it's annoying. And it's really involved to do. But, hey.
last time this road, I tried it with that, and it was really painful to get storm hosts going. I mean, you have infinite money to work with, but I lost a whole bunch of them just because, yeah. As I said, my advice of not borrowing them was learned through painful experiences.
So why did you put him in S tier?
Because I didn't go for storm hosts, I go for ultimate evolutions, and I'm moving with Brutalis,
And that's better?
Brutalis and Leviathans.
Okay then.
I
So
found that a good tactic.
okay, so here's how we'll do this. So for your rankings, Abathur is S tier. But if you guys don't like Abathur, there is a previous tier list we did that shows him in not S tier, but pretty down in C tier. So you might want to listen to that as well and see which one you believe, or try it for yourself and see who is more believable. I'm just a moderator. I just listen to everyone and just put them wherever they put them. Let's move on. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak. Yeah, this guy. Yeah, he will have a hard time against fireworks. So he's normally quite known for his units being relatively long range, but unless you have perfect micro here, it's not really long range enough to dodge
enough.
fireworks.
Yes.
So yeah, he'll be most likely getting hit unless you're like Cyril. So yeah, he's not
Even
gonna be
Cyril's
great.
getting hit. Come on.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, his units also don't really have high HP, so I'm no high regen or like regen at all, pretty much. So you will not be getting that firework damage shrugged off very easily. So you will be dying a lot here.
Yes.
Yeah, I have him about C tier.
C tier. How about you, Eveling?
I have Alarak from A to Beast because he has a unit shoot while moving, Wrathwalkers. So I suggest P1 for this because last time this road, I went through all of Alarak's procedures trying to out what works, and I found P1 worked pretty well. Like when the fireworks go, you have supplicant, but then you send the supplicants into where the fireworks are going off. So that way you don't even have to bother killing them off in order to feed the souls to your Wrathwalker. And once you get Wrathwalkers going, you just keep on moving and keep on firing, and eventually you'll get to that point. The main thing is just constantly watching your Wrathwalkers, keep them on the move, and keeping vision on the enemy. Easier said than done, but it was pretty cakewalk because, again, with Lucky Envelopes, the economy gets going real quick. So to pump out Wrathwalkers, you're just limited by the time of Workgate, Cybercore, and Robo, and the Robo support facility.
All right, so you have an A to B. Zero had him in C. So what do we do here? Do we compromise or?
I guess we go B tier. I'm not very confident on these rankings. This isn't a very common mutator in fireworks.
Yes. So what? We move to B.
I mean, what I suggested is my personal preference from A to B, but I'm not opposed to moving to C because I can see a lot of people not being comfortable with that and being able to pull it off.
So we move in. We're moving down to C.
And yeah, let's move to C because looking at the comments from last week, we're getting accused of a lot of inflating people's or the country's prestige. So maybe let's be a little more harsh.
All right, so let's move Alarak down to C. Prestige-wise, what do you want here?
I guess 1 or
suggest
3.
First prestige?
Suggest 3.
Even like P2 kind of work.
3 is just going to get blown up.
Yeah.
All right, so we use the first prestige. So in the previous tier list, Alarak was put down in D tier. And I did play Alarak. I can confirm that Ascendants are too slow and Wrathwalkers are too expensive, not mineral and gas-wise, expensive time-wise. It takes time to produce the Wrathwalkers. And by the time if you're losing your Wrathwalkers or any high-value units, remember, you probably cannot split them. Because they're slow moving and they're they have a high area occupied, and when you destroy a lot of units, the fireworks will shoot every which way, and it's very difficult to dodge them. And so when you lose your Wrathwalkers, when you lose your Wrathwalkers, it takes a lot of time to actually replace that army. Same with Abathur. The reason the previous tiers had them in C and D tier is because the assumption is you will not be able to dodge enough of the fireworks, and replacing your units, while easy mineral and gas wise, is not easy time wise. It consumes a lot of time to replace them. That's why the previous tier list had them in D tier. But That being said, this tier list is not very far from the last one. C tier is right next to D tier, so that seems reasonable, right?
I would like to make another suggestion. On top of P1, if you're not comfortable with using Wrathwalkers, you can use Slayers, and I've done that too. Just Supplicant, Slayers, Alarak. It works pretty good because they have their Blink and they have their Phasing Armor. The Phasing Armor allows them to essentially take one free firework and have time to react. So you can blink them out of the way as soon as you see the fireworks come down, and to replace them is pretty easy to replace with a Warp Gate.
But will that change your
That's
ranking?
all you really need to pass mission.
Will that change your ranking though? Still
It's
C
something
tier?
I'm comfortable with. I know a lot of people just blinking stalker equivalence is not something that comes natural for most people.
All right. Okay, so still C tier. Let's move on. Arcturus. What do we have him eviling?
He has a great tool that allows him to hit things at incredible range where the works are no longer an issue. Earth Splitters. So all his prestiges have Earth Splitters. Main thing is usually when you play Arcturus, you want to try to take a center lock and then down your Earth Splitters there. I would not suggest doing that because they like to come toward the center locks and your Earth Splitters load the hell up. So keep them in your base. You'll be able to capture the closer locks, and then the further locks, send get in on it, rain the nukes, and the contaminant strikes, put down Zergs there, and then when the lock is relatively clear, either drop in troopers, warp in, attack jump, Prime August grad, something there to cap it, and you should be fine. I think he's S to A.
S to A. All right.
Not too nuts. You go P3, and then you have Banglings with guns who don't care if
Banelings
they
with
get
guns.
blown up by fireworks.
All right. How about you, Zero?
Banglings with guns.
I agree with S tier also. I think you should be safe taking middle here just because the waves on this minute just stand in place for 2 minutes, so
Something
you
like
have
that.
plenty of time to hit them with contaminated strikes, so they should not be getting close at all. Because of that, you can just place your ESO in the middle without having to really fear of them getting hit by the fireworks.
All
So
right.
yeah, with plenty of money also, you have a lot of just dudes being able to be dropped anywhere you need them. Yeah, I think he's just really good here, especially because the second mutator aids him a lot because he's an
The money guy.
army-based commander.
Yes.
Yeah, so S tier I think is good.
All right. So let's put Arcturus in S tier. The previous tier list had Arcturus in A tier, which is again pretty good. It's basically S tier, but with a little flaws that Tutu and Stixbender found. So not terribly different. It's basically the same thing, just slightly less S. A is basically slightly less S. So you want the first prestige here, so you can keep using the contaminated
I'd say
strike.
P3. You don't need
Third
that
one?
many contaminated strikes because they stand in there for 2 minutes anyway. You can already shoot them with multiple ones.
All right, Artanis. Where do we have him?
His top bar is pretty solid here. Unbound Fanatics can tank like 10 missiles, so with 5 of them you tank like, not missiles, fireworks. Yeah, they'll do pretty good at clearing the actual objectives. He does have infinite energy, however, so you'll still have to be quite careful with how you spend it. You don't really want to be caught with no energy when dealing with the double waves that come eventually, because unless you're like an Artanis expert, I don't really see him clearing that early, especially with an ally who can't just come from the back like you do to capture the locks. So yeah, you'll have to be quite careful with that. His army does not really deal well with fireworks, so for the waves, I'd probably just advise just using High Templar than either running them. He'll have a lot of money, so you can probably just use them as like one-time use storms. Yeah, it's not the greatest thing ever, but considering your top bar basically clears this mission and you just have to survive until that happens, I think it's justifiable. So I have him in around B tier.
B tier. How about you, Eviling?
I have Artanis A to B. I found, me and CTG did a video of the bad commanders for this mutation, and Artanis was one of them. I could be too bad. I actually had fun playing with him. Essentially not worrying about our income supply, it was like fantastic. And he does have one unit that shoots on the move, your Phoenixes. So in that last video, I used P1, and because of the reduced cooldown on his lift up, it made things pretty enjoyable to play. he could spam it out. The biggest drawback to P1 is everything costs more, but if lucky envelopes, that goes away. So you get to have fun with that. The main thing is going through his, as Zero was mentioning, trying to box them out and trying to clear a path to the locks is going to be a painful, because other than Phoenixes, Artanis doesn't have much in terms of units that can shoot and with the fireworks coming up after that. So you have to be very mindful of that. But I find him A to B. Prestige you can make work. P3 is going to be nice because a shield charge unbound allows you to pretty safely. And if you have P1, P2, P0, you have Guardian Shell, which you are going to be very thankful for, especially your allies thankful for that if
Yes.
they're playing one of the prestiges that rely on
I love shield overcharge. Okay, both of you say B, so let's put Artanis in B. So the last time this rolled around, Tutu and Stixbender agreed that Artanis... Remember, Stixbender is a pretty big Artanis fan, and despite that, they put Artanis in C tier. Not terrible, but not fantastic either. The thing is, they probably realized that Artanis' chonky Dragoon army does not really dodge well. And this is what Eveling said is also true. Phoenixes can just dodge everything, but they also don't shoot down the big hybrids, and they don't shoot Thors, they don't shoot Ultralisks. They can't really deal with the big units, and they basically have to wait on their ally. If you're carrying, you probably will not be able to do the big units that well, because Phoenixes do not shoot them, do not lift them up. Anyway, B is not that far from C tier, so it's fine. B is where we will stick him. But again, if you don't really like Artanis, there are two other guys who say that Artanis is only C tier, so you might not be losing out on much here. Let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him, Eveling?
His primal pack leaders don't really care about fireworks. They can still die. Just a note that I can die to like massive firework overload. But if to Dehaka, you're able to get them out and just it's like, okay, Levic's down, send in Mervar. Mervar is down.
Next
send
pack
in
leader.
Doctrine.
Next
Okay,
pack
Doctrine's
leader.
down. Yeah. So you send them in kind of like how you send in Phoenix champions. Yeah, he'll get it done.
Eventually.
He can pretty much face tank most of it and do quite a bit of damage. I have him from S to A.
S to A.
You have infinite income. Have fun with this. And in worst cases, if you really need more to really secure your locks, you have a very safe way of clearing locks with Creeper Hosts.
Creeper Host, also really good. How about you, Zero?
I have him in S tier also. Like, the main difficult part for it would probably be the first wave, but even I don't really see that being an issue, just because it hits your base so late that you'll probably have Glevic in time. So yeah, and then you just make Creeper Hosts, and those guys just clear the waves and locks from the middle, which you probably have secured with your Glevic. You can also use pack leaders to speed that up. So yeah, I have him in S tier.
Alright, so the previous tier list guys also had Dehaka in S tier. So this is a super duper unanimous S tier. Like pretty much everyone agrees that Dehaka is S tier. So nothing else to say. Let's move on. Fenix. Where do we have him?
Yeah, you just send in more guys after they get fireworked. Now, you will have to be slightly careful of your shells so they don't get exploded, especially if you have really low health with P2. But still, you should be fighting away from them, so that shouldn't be an issue. And even if you somehow get them fireworked, you have so much money. Like, Phoenix naturally just floats a lot of money.
Yeah.
And with this mutator, you'll have even more, so I don't really see that being an issue. Yeah, the champions will eventually just clear the locks, and it won't be as slow as it probably sounds. You can also just use like Dragoon Suit to clear one of the waves when the double waves start coming. So yeah, I think he's really good here. Have him in S tier.
Alright, S tier. How about you, Eveling?
I wanted to put Phoenix in S tier, but I found him a little slower compared to the likes of for when I played Abathur, when I played Arcturus, Dehaka. It's if you're playing P2, it's kind of painful when your champions will go down, because I mean, as tanky as they are, they will go down to fireworks, and it's just that walk to get back into the front lines. I tried last time this rolled. I tried all of Phoenix Sieges just to see what I can get the most out of, and the P2 I would not recommend. I actually went with P3. P3 was nice because they can just zoom in, get stuff done. They die, and then next Zoomy comes along.
Zoomy.
Just keeps on, yeah.
Yeah, because they'll die a lot out
they'll-
anyway,
they'll
so
get
you
into
might
the
as
fight a
well
lot
get the
faster.
Avenging Protocol, right?
Exactly. And then another funny tactic I used was using P1 because you can keep on bringing in the Arbiter suit, and you bring in the Arbiter suit, especially we've talked about lock and load, where one of the other factors in this mutation is getting your ally onto the lock. Well, he has the greatest ability to say, ally, get over here. What you do is you sneak around with the Observer or air unit to the back, and while in the lock, you just stasis them, and then you recall your units and your allies' units, and if the stasis ends, you just stasis it again, and just stasis it, wait for the lock to cap, and then try to deal with whatever is going to that is on stasis to secure the lock, and then just move on and keep on doing that, repeating rinse and repeat over again. It's a little hokey, but I would definitely suggest more P3. Again, I haven't for A to B. I wanted to put him to S, but again, it takes a little tact compared to the other S commanders that we have, so that's why I couldn't go with S on Phoenix.
All right. Zero, will you make an argument for S tier, or are you okay with A?
I'm fine with A tier.
All
I
right.
can see him being slightly slower compared to some others. I guess you need to actually know where to put your the shell ball, so they're not
Shell
too far,
ball.
but they're also not too close to the point where they get fireworked.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we won't have. It's not unanimous, so it's not S. But A is still very good. In fact, A is where the last tier list had him. Look, there he is, A tier. So it's consistent, which is pretty nice. Let's move on. Hunt and Horner, where do we have it?
I think you can make any of their prestiges work. In fact, when last on this road, I really wanted to play P3 on this just because of lucky envelopes and the fact that you can send strike fighters out and just have them completely bombard without many repercussions from the fireworks. And then eventually, you're eventually going to be able to clear out all the ground units. Then you have so much income that you can afford your sovereign battle cruisers. I would suggest not getting the weapons retrofit upgrade that gives you the mini Yamatos for the battle cruisers. Just keep them as their regular pew pew mode, because that way they can shoot while on them.
Okay, yeah, I guess moving shot is pretty good. A to B. How about you, Zero?
Are the moving battle cruisers fast enough to dodge fireworks?
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, if you
right?
keep them moving. You got to keep them.
Really? I personally had them in C tier, but if battle cruisers work like that, then I guess they can be slightly higher. I just don't really see it, right? Yeah, and even for like defending double ways, because battle cruisers can't do anything, you will be losing a lot. So you're probably gonna want even like widow mines and just burrow them. Like they're gonna die, but you'll get some money back at least, and you'll kill the wave with their actual shot and then the death effect. So I guess that kind of works. Still, I think clearing will be like a slight issue here, probably a bit more than slight, because their units, other than battle cruisers, they can't really.
I think defending
shoot and
will
move.
be a bigger issue
Yeah.
than clearing.
Yeah,
Clearing,
that
you can
too.
use
But for
airstrikers.
that you can at least use for that you can at least use like the widow mines, just run them in,
Just
or
kamikaze
the
them.
P1
Just trade the widow
mines.
mines.
Yeah, you have the money in this case, especially if you're massing like battle cruiser and strike fighter. Those guys are very gas heavy, so you'll have the minerals.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
had
if
her
you're
in C tier personally.
So what do you think?
If you have anything other than P2, you should be able to, with salvage and luck envelopes, you just send in hordes and hordes of reapers. I mean, they're like
Raidable.
not they're like bad banelings or bad death, but they're still doing damage of some sort when they die. So you just keep on sending a whole bunch of them in, and they'll clear it after a while. The main thing is just keeping your galleons away from fires. That's the main thing.
It
So,
sounds really tricky
I don't
if
know
you
about
ask me.
C there.
Hmm.
That's fair. But I think, again, P3, the biggest limitation of P3 is the double cost of the strike fighters. You go with that and clear, if it's a ground comp, like you're golden, right? If it's air comp, then tricky.
Yeah, but like half the comps have air. Actually, most of the comps have air. Half the comps are air comps. So that doesn't sound very. That doesn't inspire a lot of confidence.
Well, I mean, if you got air comps and you're trying to steer locks, if you're not there, if you can get your mag mines down, that's gonna
mag mines will be effective. Yeah.
And that's all. I don't think they plan to go C tier, but I don't wholeheartedly at their C tier material just because of the airstrikes and being able to stuff.
The airstrikers seem like a really nice proposition here. What do you think, Zero? Are you willing to put them up to B tier?
Yeah, I
B.
think so. I don't think they're as bad as Alarak.
Okay, we can put Han and Honor in B
Yeah.
tier.
Yep.
And that is also
That's
where
great.
the previous tier list had him. The previous tier list had him in B tier, so it's pretty consistent. We eventually land where the other guys landed. That's nice. Anyway, prestige-wise, you want the third one, right? So you can use a lot of air strikers.
Yeah, makes
It's a
sense.
good excuse to do it.
The only thing I
Sure.
would note
fun.
is, yes, you do get free gas, but the rate at which the gas spawns is lower than the rate at which minerals spawn. So you have to be active, and you have to be looking, and you have to prioritize gas, so you can get more of the air strikers.
That's
Anyway, let's move on. Karax, where do we have him, Zero?
The Spear of Odin is really lucky it's far enough away to not get hit by those fireworks. So
Yeah.
it's gotta be triggering a lot of them. That said, yeah, he kind of just needs to get vision, and then the top bar will just do all the work. It's just that the vision itself can get fireworks, so you're kind of gonna have to be careful with it. As for the vision itself, you have two main options: either observers, which have large enough vision range that they shouldn't be getting hit if you siege them in the proper position, or mirages, which just fly so fast that are actually relatively tanky that they just fly around the base, kind of, and then you top bar the enemies there. Those are the Mirage option, well, usually wouldn't be favored. Here you actually have the money to kind of make it work. As for how you spend your mineral rolls, you can either go like Zealots, they're decently tanky, so they will stall long enough for your top bar, or you can just make like Han Cybercore, just spend your minerals on whatever to actually deal with the waves, because the mission objective will just be dealt with by your vision spotters on top bar. So yeah, I have him like A or S tier personally.
A or S tier. How about you, Eveling?
Yeah, as mentioned before, space laser, Amon can't really do anything about it as long as you have vision. I have an S to A. I've tried P3, I've tried P2. P2 is, you can just face tank a lot of it because of all the ink getting. Just make a whole bunch of Sentinels and Phoenixes or Mirages, just send them in and just clear eventually. As if they're supported with Spirit of Adun. And I even tried P1. P1 was kind of painful, but it was doable.
It's really
it
painful.
was semi-doable. You
Oh my goodness.
not a shield back, that's for sure, but it's doable. But yeah, S to A.
S
Go
to
with
A.
P3. It's a solid pick.
So both of you have him in
Mirages,
S?
I would say go to Mirage round.
Both of you have an S, right?
Yes.
Alright, let's
Yep.
put Karax in S.
Yes.
The previous tier list had Karax in B tier. Oh my goodness. The thing here is, for Karax, basically, when you're Karax, you want to go Mirages, so you can use top bars. It'll basically be slightly better Artanis, for 2 and 6 bender. It'll be better Artanis because you can delete pretty much every single small unit, but the big boys will be kind of annoying to deal with. You will need to spam your sentinels and stuff, and they will have the revive, and they will have unity barrier, but they're still finite. So that's why they had them in B tier. And yes, the Mirages can dodge fire. Again, it's not surviving. That's the Mirage's problem. The problem is being able to actually destroy when the hybrid just camps the lock and you can't finish the game because the big fat hybrid is standing there. And I guess you could kind of waste your entire 200 energy just to destroy a hybrid. It seems inefficient though. But anyway, it's just their ranking. It's completely different. Yeah.
You have P3, you Solar Lance it. As long as you got the fire upgrade, that one cast of Solar Lance will kill that red hype. So, I don't know. I think I would like to preface this. This was, so 2-2 and 6 Bender, they did that tier list 2 years ago, right?
Yes.
Or is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. So 2 years ago, our tactics have definitely changed, and our taste for commanders have definitely changed as we fleshed out the prestiges more. So I think what they did, what 2-2 and 6 Bender did, if they were to do the tier list again, I think some things might be a little bit different.
I don't know. Ask them. I'm just
Yeah,
putting
well,
guys in the boxes.
I know.
guys.
I can guarantee you, Tutu's taste have changed slightly compared to his initial rank.
For what it's worth, I
due to
personally
just
have
how
Karax in A
our
tier.
tactics have evolved.
If you ask me personally, I would have Karax in A tier. But like, my opinion literally doesn't matter here.
That's fair.
All right. Again, I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna force anyone to change. I'm just saying this was the result before. This is the result now. You guys who are watching can listen to the previous one if you prefer that. You can listen to this one if you prefer this one. I'm just putting out whatever the people think they should go in. Anyway, it's fine. This time he's S tier. Last time he's B tier. Kind of a big difference, but not as big as Abathur, who is in S tier this time and was in C tier last time. But sometimes these things happen. Let's move on. Kerrigan, where do we have him, Eviling?
Kerrigan, I have from S to A. I'm suggesting P2 for this because this procedure is going to allow her to stay very mobile. When she's doing her auto attacks to charge up her zap, she doesn't usually kill that way. It's when she uses the ability to trigger the zap that either stuns and destroys a whole bunch of things. And so when you see the fireworks target her, just make sure to keep her on the end with lucky envelopes. She's going to be able to afford a whole bunch of Omega Worms. She's known to do a hero solo. So, I mean, this is more or less so. Just be mindful of the fireworks, and she's all right. I have her from S to A.
S to A. How about you, Zero?
I personally had her in B tier just because she's kind of unforgiving. Like, if you lose your hero unit, which it only takes like 10 fireworks, then she's kind of useless for a whole minute. But yeah, I think if you can actually control her well, then I think she'd be pretty good. It's just really unforgiving, and it's not like you can make army here, because her army will get absolutely shredded by the fireworks.
Yes.
So it's just a big question of, can you micro your hero?
Yes. So what is the answer? B?
Don't take
Yeah,
that.
I'm not opposed to like A tier if you're confident you can micro her, because she is really good if you can. It's just about, can an average player micro her like that? And I don't know the answer.
I think the average player can micro her. The problem with the average player is kind of having the patience to manage, the patience and the presence of mind to manage her energy, know when to use spells, not being fast enough. That's, I think, I actually remember this discussion. The thing with Kerrigan is you don't really need to even go on the offense so much. You just need to wait for 10 minutes, then drop a mobilization wave. That kills like everything in the 30 range radius. And then you wait for the next mobilization wave, do it on the other side of the map. Then pretty much everything but bunkers, buildings, and big units are dead. And that's when you send, that's when you send Kerrigan in. That's when you send the rest of the army in. But that was last time. That was last discussion. This time, will you insist on B?
Said he would be willing to go to A.
Sorry, A.
So
Yeah,
the thing
Zero
is,
said he would be willing to go with A
Yeah.
if you have good presence of mind to control Kerrigan appropriately. So
Mhm.
A is not out of realm. And I mean, with Zero's argument about your average player having that presence of mind, being able to control Kerrigan, I can definitely see where she can be on that aspect because many Kerrigan players do not have that presence of mind.
All right.
I'd be more leaning toward A.
Are both of you okay with A?
yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yes.
All right. So, Kerrigan goes to A. Again, guys, if you want to hear a different discussion, the last tier list had Kerrigan in S tier. I know. They had Kerrigan in S tier, despite the fact that she can't really deal with the defense of air units. But, hey, I don't decide these things. I just put them in the boxes. But I do totally agree with the offense part here. Just wait for a mobilization wave, drop it on the left side, wait for the next charge mobilization wave, drop on the right side. Everything is clear except the big guys. And it's a lot easier to deal with few of those big guys because they have fewer fireworks than a lot of small guys with so many fireworks. Anyway, A tier still good. A tier slightly less S. And
Also,
it's,
just to add,
yeah?
about the immobilization wave prestiges, the reason I wouldn't really prefer them is because they can't deal with the waves as well. Like, whether you go P2 or P3, not P2, P0 or P3,
Yes.
they will have each of them a big weakness when it comes to waves. Like, P3 can't really handle like swarms of enemies, like invasionary swarm, for
Yes.
example, Vanguard of Fire.
This is
While
true.
P0 cannot handle air at all, so you're kind of just a dice roll at this point. Which one do you get?
I don't remember what the discussion error was, but I think it was something like you just hide Kerrigan in the worm whenever the fireworks come out, and then after it explodes, just pop her out again and then resume offense, something like that. Anyway, I think A is not too far from S, so it's fine. I actually personally had Kerrigan in A. I think that's where she belongs. She's pretty good, but like not S, just slightly not S. But if you
just to add upon Kerrigan, I would like to say you can go do just hero solo. That's usually the easiest option. But if you want to have fun and have army out, I would suggest
I wanna have
Brood
fun.
Lords and Mutalisks.
Fun is fun.
So Mutalisks are they can bounce their glaives
Oh
off
my goodness.
of Omega Worms and get that extra range. So high chance they won't be targeted by the fireworks. And if they are targeted by the fireworks, you kind of treat them like Swann's wraiths. And what you do is
Just
you
keep
stutter step
moving.
them. So you have them fly in, keep on moving. When you see the target that you want to hit, click on it, and then after that, once they release their volley, get them moving again so that they don't decelerate. And just keep on doing that. You should be able to avoid most of the fireworks, keep your mutable alive. Otherwise, you got Brood Lords that have the range, and most likely fireworks are going to target Broodlings, and that's not a major consequence. So, and the Brood Lords can stay in areas that are unpathable, so you can kind of use that as standoff distance.
Nova, where do we have him?
I assume you're just gonna go P3 here and then just do the P3 thing on those bases of destroying them.
Yeah.
Now where the issue for her may come from is the waves, more specifically the double waves, just because you can airstrike one of them, sure, but then
Yes.
you still have to deal with the second one, and her army is not really suited for that. So yeah, I think that's where the issue will come from her. So
Probably.
you either like make ravens, then send missiles up the wave, and then run away before you get hit.
Fly away!
That kind of should just deal with a lot of it, but then some will definitely still be left behind in terms of the enemy units. So you will have to deal with it in the end, and that won't be the prettiest. So yeah, which is why I have her in A tier. Just she doesn't deal with the double waves too well here.
All
At least
right.
not as easily as like the S tiers.
All right. How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, Nova, I agree. She has to work a little bit, but I have her from A to B. She's still pretty good. Yeah, P3, she just walks in, sabotage drone, nuke the area, clear the area as best as you can, airstrike it, and then from there you can either drop your army in or airlift it. If your ally is not being cooperative, you airlift your ally to the lot. Should be able to get it done pretty handily, not without getting scratched, that's for sure. And the problem with Nova is she loses her army. It doesn't matter if she has all the mineral, she has to wait for those charges on her production structures.
The letter A to B.
I said A to B.
All right. So both of you have her in A. Let's put Nova in A. The previous tier list had her in S tier. I think what they would say is just airstrike the first half of the double wave as it moves out, and then airstrike the second half of the double wave once it comes off cooldown. When the second half of the double wave is just going to the lock where it wants to go. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, again, A is not too far from S. It's pretty much the same thing, just slightly different. Let's move on. Raynor. By the way, third prestige. You want the third prestige here. Raynor, where do we have him?
I have him from S to A. Raynor's biggest problem is getting his ramp up time, but with Lucky Envelopes, that's just going to catapult it to ridiculous degrees, so he can get out. Essentially, I'm recommending P3 for all those BC rushers and BC only fans. This is your day. BCs shoot while on the move. They have tack jump. It's going to make this relatively trivial as long as you don't have your BCs stay still in fireworks. S to A.
Okay, how about you, Zero?
I have them like A to B tier. Like the thing about BCs similar to Hana it's just they're kind of slow. I do acknowledge they're better than Hana Horder BCs because of the afterburners that will allow you to dodge slightly more, but still, after it runs out, you most likely won't kill the entire wave with just one afterburner, so you'll still have to be slightly careful. Now, Hyperion's very good also, and it will clear the map better than like Hornet top bar. So yeah, I think he's like high B. Yeah, he just kind of has to get that air unit mass, most likely BCs, and then the Hyperion will just clear the map while your units will deal with the waves to best of their abilities.
So you're saying B. Both of you are okay with B.
A or B.
So both of you have him in A?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's put Raynor in A tier. So I'll give you two. I'll give you two. One guess. Where did the previous tier list have him?
Probably somewhere low, like C tier.
How about you, Eviling?
F tier.
F tier?
Judging from the Raynor hate, I'm guessing D to E or maybe F.
They had them in E tier.
E. What?
E tier. You want to listen?
No way.
You want to listen? Actually, let's replay this. This is the biggest difference. Like this is the biggest gap we've had so far.
S tier.
Raynor.
Purely the only downside to her being she's more money dependent than Dehaka.
Okay.
You have no pack leaders.
Sticksbender
Yeah.
rambling.
Haka's not good. They keep dying. It's gonna make up for the losses. Like you're gonna keep losing a lot of stuff.
You're gonna keep
And
losing
then
a lot of stuff.
You're gonna get more Marines, but you're gonna lose them really quickly.
You're gonna
It's
get more
really
guys,
hard.
but you're gonna lose them really
And,
quickly.
You can if you drop spider mines, they're gonna get blown up by the
If you
fireworks.
drop spider mines, they will get blown up by the
Kind of
fireworks.
difficult to use those as well.
Kind of difficult
I
to use
put
as
them
well.
in E.
Put them in
it's-
E.
Like it's hard to push.
So
It's
Tutu
hard to
put them
get
in E
a big enough army
because
to
it's hard to push.
and not lose everything.
Okay,
So
how about
let's
you,
list the
Sticksbender?
Raynor is the other S tier. It's
The other
suffering.
S tier, the suffering tier. Oh my goodness, I just repeated myself.
Oh,
Oh my
he
goodness,
suffers.
stop.
I mean, I would go P3 here, just use battle leadership, but
I
yeah.
would too, and I wouldn't.
Sticksbender will use third
It doesn't really
prestige.
matter what you make with your P3.
It doesn't really matter what you make with your
because
P3
it's
army.
just going to be there for moral support for the
It's
Hyperion.
just going to be
Yep.
there for moral support
I
for the
guess he
Hyperion.
could maybe get an argument for D tier with Alarak, since at least the Hyperion's really good.
The Hyperion's really
argument
good.
for D tier does not mean D tier. So both of you say E tier, so have an E tier.
So that's it. Both of them say that Raynor is suffering.
Interesting.
And I get it, because like, yeah, you have the Hyperion, but like, how much stuff can you really clear before the fireworks delete the Hyperion? And if you use battlecruisers, you have one tactical jump, yes, but like, what then?
Hyperion actually moves pretty fast. It should not be.
It's a
getting
huge
hit by
hitbox.
Fireworks that much.
It's a huge
Yeah,
hitbox.
sure.
It will be hit a lot. It's a gigantic hitbox.
Yeah, I get that. It's just it moves decently fast also. And if you like Yamato, you can tag jump away so that big bunch of fireworks doesn't hit you. I guess it's just about how you micro it. Like you shouldn't teleport it right into the base. Like you should like kind of pick off at the base from the sides.
Yes. Positioning is important with it. You don't want to have
I think have both of you
All
guys
the fu-
played Raynor and this mutation?
No. Like, yeah, the fireworks.
I
is not a
have.
common meter.
I have played Raynor here. Yes, you can use the Hyperion. Yes, you can dodge. Yes, you can Yamato. But what are you doing the rest of the time? You're not clearing if you're dodging, and you won't have enough time. I've played yes, even though you can get the Hyperion to like a 2-minute cooldown, if you're only going on offense for like 10 seconds out of every 2 minutes, you're not doing a whole lot to contribute.
I'm slightly leaning towards B tier.
I'm not gonna change. I'm not gonna change your. I'm
I
not
still-
gonna change your tiers. Like you both have an A. We'll have an A.
I'm kind of going by what Eveling said that moving units can dodge fireworks. I'm not actually sure if that's the case for BCs. So
I'll give you a
yeah, I'm
hint. They
skeptical.
don't dodge fast enough, and like there's still the matter of the units, the actual units you're shooting. The enemies still shoot back, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
enemy shoot back, and
These
then
are fast
but
enough,
limit
then
the amount of
sure.
enemies that shoot back.
again, I'm not gonna change where you have him. If you guys want him in A tier, I won't contest that. I'm just saying, for those who don't like Raynor, there's a second opinion that you can turn to. Let's move on. Stetboy, where do we have him?
Yeah, Lynx don't care if they get fireworked, they tank for them anyway. The hero unit, it tanks like 20 fireworks. It would get like 20 fireworks to hit it at once. Yeah, so Gary won't be dying then, because Lynx will also just divert some of those fireworks onto themselves. So
Yes.
yeah, he kind of just move commands through this mutation.
Kind of.
Yeah, links, even if they die, they just get replaced. And because you have the mineral pickups, you have even more links. Those links will just keep getting replaced and buffing Gary. Yeah, and Igor will just one-shot a wave, so that's not an issue. Yeah, I have it like S tier, maybe even double S.
Double S. How about you, Eveling?
I don't disagree with double S or Stetmann. I mean, Stetmann P2 is known for hero soloing, just regular lock and load, and with unrestricted resource supply, you just throw a whole bunch of lings at the problem. It's not the main thing is super duper Gary still can get blown up by fireworks if you're not careful. You need to get when you can have green overcharge going to have that shield, and it keeps that Stellite from going down, because once the Stellite, if super duper Gary gets caught out of a non-stat zone area, he's gonna get blown up. So main thing, as long as you have good control on that, shouldn't be a problem. So I have him from SA, but I'm definitely not disagreeing with Zero's recommendation for double S.
Alright, let's put him in S for now. We can do the double S thing later. The previous tier list had him in S tier. Again, very unanimous. Stetboy is just so good. Stukov, where do we have him?
With infinite minerals, you can have your
Endgame.
wonderful endless supply of bunkers. Or not endless, because it's still capped at 200 supply, but you can get them out real quickly. But I would actually suggest P1 in order to get this done in a reasonable amount of time, so that way you can get your diamondbacks out, because mass diamondbacks is a really good way to go through the firework mutation. Yep, they just keep on moving, and even as they're moving, if the stuff ground you get caught in slime,
you can do both.
Just go down.
You're rich enough.
Yep, exactly.
Letter.
I have it for A to B.
A to
I
B.
wouldn't say S, because
All right. How about you,
it's not
Zero?
Stetmann level.
I have him in S tier personally. I think the P3 bunkers will just kill things eventually, and the ramp up time will actually be a bit faster than normal because of the mineral pickups you have on this map, or this mutation specifically.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the infested guys, while they will die to a single firework, there's just gonna be more of them coming, so you don't really care. So he will clear this map eventually. Early game isn't really an issue for him, just because for the first wave you have Alexander, for first wave you have Apocalypse, for second wave you have Alexander. So yeah, I think S tier is fine for him.
Are you convinced, Eviling?
I'm not opposed to having Stukov in S, but comparing him to the other S commanders, like let's take for example Dehaka, Stukov is brainless, but you gotta wait for him to turn up and get going. So you're gonna be encountering those the double capping waves.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Whereas if you got a better set, then he's gonna I don't know.
Zero, are we gonna make a final case for S? Because if it's not unanimous, it's not S.
I don't see it being an issue. Like, your ramp up will be way faster than normal because of the mineral pickups, and also you won't have to mine as much gas as normal because you will get some gas pickups also on the way. So that still saved minerals, which allows you to get even more bunkers.
Do you have a response for how he can only send his infested in one direction, and from 11 minutes the attack waves come in two different directions? Opposing directions.
So you send the infested in one direction, that will eventually just kill the wave, right? Like, especially because you just keep making bunkers along the way, and the more bunkers you make, the faster you will kill them. So after you kill one, you just send it to the other direction, and the infested move pretty fast, and they should spawn from the middle of the map. So it's not like they walk across the map. No, they just walk from the middle to the other side. Like, I don't see it taking that long.
Are you convinced, Eviling?
Oh yeah, I've been convinced. I just wanted to make Zero work for it.
What a troll!
Come on.
All right, let's put Stukov in S tier. The previous tier list actually have an A tier, but again, it's slightly worse S. Let's move on. Swann, where do we have him?
This may be a slightly unpopular opinion, but I think he's S tier. Yeah, he can just solo this map with his drill and top bar with P1. For the fireworks, you just send factories everywhere. They won't die.
They will die. Sorry, they will die.
Will they? They have
the
like
fireworks
2,000
have
HP.
Yes, the fireworks have a lot of. The enemies have a lot of fireworks.
Yeah, but
Yes.
you have a lot of health.
No, they will. They will die. They will die.
Even if like 5 factories die, you won't care. You have money to spend and a lot of it.
I think. Sorry, I have to interrupt you here. I think something that is very underrated here is, even though you have basically infinite money, you don't have infinite time. If you just send the next factory in, there will still be a time gap between when you're laser attacking and when it's next attacking. Like, you will have time wasted, and that's time that Amon will have to basically waste what you're doing until he gets a double wave at 11 minutes, another double wave at 14, another at 17, 19. It just adds up when you keep getting delayed. Yes, the money is free, but the time is not. So you have to understand that. Like, even though, yes, you can sit just in the next factory, you won't have it right there right away.
You're not sending them by one. You're sending them in like large groups, and factories themselves, they spread a decent amount. Like, we're talking about like 20,000 health spread across like many different units in a large area, all while like somewhat consistently regenerating a decent chunk. Like, there shouldn't be much idle time on your laser drill.
Okay.
Like, you're just massing factories here. And as Tutu proved last lock and load mutation, you do have the time for that. And the enemies here are not buffed themselves. So you should not run out of time, at least.
Oh no, you won't run out of time. You just you'll just waste a lot of time. Anyway, how about you, Eveling?
Personally, I have Swann from A to B, but I'm not opposed to S. He is pretty. You can make it work with any of his prestiges because all of his prestiges. You can go with factories. You have fun just building a bunch of them and sending them in one direction. If you want to get it done faster, I would say go with wraiths. So
Yeah, wraiths are probably your best
you
call
can be
here.
able to-
But like, you have to be really good at dodging because your wraiths will naturally spread out. That will make them more likely to get hit.
Yes. You need to try to stack. Well, you can try to stack them on top of each other, but that runs the risk. If they get caught out in the wrong
all
place,
die.
you lose all your rates. Yeah, but
So
the
is
other
that
aspect
S
is
tier?
they have their evade mechanics. So you might get lucky and you might not lose all of them. It's kind of like the evade mechanic for Zerglings.
Okay, so both of you have an S tier. Let's put Swann in S tier. You're probably right. This is unpopular. The previous tier list had him in B tier. And I can actually see why they would put him in B tier. Yes, your race deal damage, but they will still get shot at
I wouldn't
pretty
even go
consistently.
here. Like, pure factory is enough for this mutation.
If you say so.
Like, yeah, there's no micro required. You just send factory to all sides. The sheer HP pool of this is large enough that you just tank the fireworks.
I don't think there's zero micro required. It's pretty intense to have a lot of because Swann built using SCVs. He's not a Protoss commander. He has to send different SCVs to build in different spots, and then on top of that, he has to actually collect the money that's on the map. It's not easy.
It's no in-fight micro, at least. Like,
That's
the
true.
macro,
I'm just saying it's
yes.
not. I'm just saying it's not no micro. It's pretty intensive. Anyway, again, I'm not gonna contest what you guys have. I'm just just sharing perspective. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm just trying to share additional viewpoints. If you have an S tier, despite that, that's fine. The previous guys had an B tier. Let's move on. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus, I have him from A to B. He's going to be one of those commanders. I mean, he solely relies on its outlaws. So you lose the outlaws, you're kind of in trouble.
Yes.
Kind of like Kerrigan in some sense. And the thing is, you can run P2. P2 can take a beating, but it's like they can't just sit in all the fireworks. Like, you send Tychus out with a shredder grenade on a whole bunch of lings, those fireworks are gonna target him, and if he just stands there and tries to face tank it, he's dead.
He's dead.
So you gotta be on it. What you can do is just have, once you secure a lock, then put on the lock and just be very mindful to switch between all your outlaws. If something comes to try to claim the lock, try to watch all your outlaws to make sure they don't get blown up by other attack waves and whatnot. It's not gonna be easy, but otherwise pretty standard Tychus play, because one of the greatest things is Tychus is mineral gated. He's a mineral gated commander, and with Lucky Envelope stat, he's gonna get all his upgrades super fast. Yeah. A to B.
A to B. How about you, Zero?
I in S tier personally. Like, even if you lose your outlaw, which you most likely will be, you don't really care because it's 250 minerals to revive it. Like, it's the same as losing like 500 Horner Reapers. It's really cheap. And even for like a single outlaw life, you can just clear a single wave. For the actual bases, like the only bases that may give you some trouble are the two large ones, and those you can just Odin nuke. For the
Yes.
small ones, even like Tychus grenade will just one shot most of the enemies there.
Yes.
And like I said, it doesn't really matter much if you lose him. Like, he's so cheap to revive, and you have all the money in the world here pretty much. So yeah, I think S tier.
What do you think, Eviling? Do you agree?
I don't know about S tier because again, this is gonna come down. I mean, Zero is a very, very good player who knows how to keep. Even if he's losing outlaws, he knows how to make them count. I've seen some players they lose outlaws like Marines. I just side note. I chuckled when Zero said. I didn't think of it perspective wise. Losing outlaw is the equivalent of 5 Reapers, which is kind of blows my mind. But yeah, he can make use of it. I've seen many random players where they don't make any ground, even they're losing outlaws left and right, and when they come back out, they don't do anything with. They can't accomplish much with them. And in a mutation like this, it's if you don't make any ground with, even if your outlaws go down, you're not gonna get anywhere on the map.
Zero, final chance to make a pitch for S tier.
No, I'll just stick to the other tiers then.
All right, Tychus A tier? Is A tier fine?
Yeah.
A tier,
Yeah.
guaranteed A tier.
The previous guys did have an S tier, which is kind of funny. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's move on. Vorazun.
Outlier.
Vorazun, where do we have him?
Yeah, the time stop will hurt you a lot more than normal, just because all those enemies that will come to the locks will also drop fireworks, so it's not like you can even leave some units there to defend against them. So time stop is basically just like it's effectively an insta lose button, so be careful. Now, even without time stop, her rest of the kit is still pretty terrible. Like Dark
Does he have melee
Shadow
units?
Fury, yeah, like Shadow Fury, while it does ignore fireworks and DTs can dodge pretty well with Blink, there's an awkward thing on this buff where you push into bases, you're going up a ramp, and you can't Shadow Fury when you're on a ramp, I'm pretty sure, so yeah, that's gonna be really awkward to get that initial push into a base. Like, once you clearly some ground, and you can just keep poking, like, it will be manageable. Just about that initial push.
Yeah.
That'll just probably mess up a lot of people. Yeah, I think she's like D tier here.
D tier. Hey, DT, that's Vorazun. How about you, Eviling?
I was being very generous with Vorazun with B to C, but I am not opposed to D or E. Time stop definitely hurts her unless she's saving it for the last few locks. The one good thing that's going for her is lucky envelopes. The Vorazun is very well known for being resource aid, and with lucky envelopes, that's going to allow her to just spam a whole bunch of things, and she has her Dark Pilot recall. That's you can get more mileage if you're using P1 if you want to go that route. In order to address the part about her going up ramps, just get Corsairs and Oracles. That allows you to get vision, and then you're gonna be able to Shadow Fury up the ramp. But what happens after after you've expended all your Shadow Fury?
Suffering.
That gets a little awkward. So yeah, there's a lot of suffering to be had in that. If anything, earlier when we were talking about Raynor being E tier, I would say Vorazun is a more better candidate for E tier.
Okay, what do you think, Zero?
But
Not
yeah,
fully
I can
opposed
be
to it.
easily swayed for
Yeah.
DD.
What do you think, Zero?
I don't think she's quite E tier bad, but yeah, she's not good either. I'm not fully opposed to it. I just think this mutation's kind of easy enough, not really need E tiers. Like, I think D tier is still like already below like equal contribution, and she can definitely contribute here. Like, she won't drag you down necessarily unless she time stops. So
Okay, so
I think D is a good compromise.
D is a good compromise. All right, let's put Vorazun in D. The previous tier list had an F tier for her, so they clearly don't think she can contribute in any meaningful way, or at least
If
in
you
a way
time
that
stop,
outweighs the negative impact of her just having time stop.
if you time stop, I think she's F tier, so you have to be really careful.
Oh, and
here.
also the fact that when you use cloaked units, the enemy will start, especially if it's Terran, they will start sending Ravens and science vessels around your base and be very annoying. So there's that as well. Anyway, that's not that tier. This is not that tier list. This is our own tier list. Come on, own this tier list. This is our tier list. Let's move on. Zagara, where do we have him?
Zagara S, F2A move, heaven for her. She has all the resources to make whatever she wants, and the nice thing about it, especially for the massive amount of P1 enjoyers, the Zergling evasion works against fireworks, so they have the chance to dodge it.
Not die.
Just
all right.
Yeah, you send a whole bunch of them on a one-way trip.
And then send more.
They'll accomplish quite a bit.
And then the next wave, and the next
and
wave,
more.
and the next wave, and the next wave. How about you, Zero?
Yeah, I think she's really good here. Like Evelyn said, you will want to go P1 here for once. The thing I'm slightly worried about is if she gets like the Corsair composition, then yeah, that might kind of mess her up. Because Scourge trade terribly into Corsairs, even with the extra money.
Do they even trade? Don't they just die, Corsairs?
Most likely, yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah,
make corruptors, and if you're going against Corsairs, have the Corsairs aggro on the corruptors, and that way, probably sneak the scourges toward the direction that the Corsairs aren't firing.
All right. Please continue, Zero.
I still think she's probably S tier because that's like with the one composition where she truly suffers. Like it won't come.
All right.
It won't be very impactful most of the time.
All right. Zagara S tier. The previous tier list had her in E. It's not that far, right? It's slightly less S. Zeratul, where do we have?
I actually want to go P3 for once. Zeratul can blink a lot to dodge the fireworks, and then he just kind of stays at the distance and shoots tornadoes in. Now the hero unit, especially against some of the harder compositions, will actually just get outscaled, as weird as it might sound for Zeratul, so that might be slightly awkward. Like, you have to finish this decently fast, I think, or else you're just gonna die to like the high tier double waves.
Yeah.
If you go like P2, you'll have a worse time against fireworks, especially because your army, well, it is decently mobile. It won't do too well. If you go like cannons, I guess it can work. It's just they'll be getting shot down real quick by the fireworks. So yeah, I think he's like A or B.
A or B. How about you, Eveling?
I had Zeratul to S. I do agree with the aspect. Don't use P2 because you don't want to have to take that time to ramp up. You want to get this as soon as possible. But cannons, yeah, they're gonna get blown up, but you're gonna have a lot of minerals to work with. So you just queue up a bunch of cannons, and then also you're gonna have a lot of resources to make ambushers. So ambushers do pretty good against fireworks. So
We'll blink. So letter.
I have him from SA.
S to A. So both of you are okay with A?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's put Zeratul in A. The previous tier list had Zeratul in S. In fact, last tier list, Zeratul was top of S. Do we have a double S this week?
Statman?
Stetboy? All right. Ta-da! With the power of movie magic, Stetboy's now a double S tier. Do we have any other double S tier?
I don't think so.
All right, who's top of S?
I think Dehaka is top of S.
Dehaka is top of S?
Yes.
And then?
I'd say
Arcturus?
Karax next.
Karax?
Karax also.
Arcturus, yeah. Arcturus.
Arcturus?
Yeah, they're about as good, I'd say.
Okay,
Yeah.
then?
Swann? Maybe bias here,
Swann,
but
yes.
Okay.
well, I think Karax above Swann. I mean, like Swann after Karax.
Yes. I agree with that.
All right, and then?
Say Abathur, or no, Zagara. Zagara for sure.
Yeah, Zagara, sure.
All right, next.
Let's use Stukov. His bunkers are further away from the action than
That
like
makes sense.
Swarm
Yeah.
are.
That makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, Abathur has to get into
Who's
it.
top of A?
Tychus.
Okay, next.
Very good.
Kerrigan.
Yeah, Kerrigan.
Then?
Then Phoenix?
Nova.
Phoenix. Then?
Nova?
I would say Nova.
Nova. And
Yeah.
then?
And then Zeratul Raynor.
Zeratul Raynor. All right, who's top of B tier?
Artanis?
Arty
think.
Farty. And then Han and Horner. And then C tier is Alarak, D tier is Vorazun. All right, so here is a side-by-side of this tier list versus the previous tier list. Let me see if I can put Vorazun actually in the frame. There we go. Alright. So guys, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for it also, please leave it in the comment. I will also link the previous tier list here in case you do want to listen to that. But this tier list looks also pretty good. Like, it's kind of close. There are only a few commanders, like three commanders who are very different from the previous tier list, and that would be Abathur, who was in C in the previous one, and S, and in this one. The second one is Abathur. Oh, not Abathur. The second one is
Raynor.
Raynor. He was E tier in the previous one, and then A tier in this one. And then the last one is, I think, Swann. Yeah, Swann was B tier in the previous one and S tier in this one. And the rest are pretty close, actually. Not that far apart. So, you know, at least there's an element of sameness here. Alright, guys. See you guys next time.